Hey folks, it's Phil the Miniature Model Maker coming to you with part 2 of the Gundam Artifact Phase 5 Model 23 Zaku Cannon build. In the previous video I got these first 3 parts made, and now let's hope to see if maybe we can get all the rest of them put together in one go so it's not a 3-part video. I would really like to know if anybody else has these, and if you were watching this video, are you building along with me? That would be kind of cool if you did. It's one reason I'm doing these videos is not only to help people find pain points for their builds, but maybe listen along while you're doing your own build. And please don't forget, if you are new to the channel, to hit the subscribe button. The like and the notification, commenting also helps. Any of those little algorithm things that will help to get this content out to other people's eyes. There's a very, very little of it in English language. So I would very much like for other people to be able to find this and see it and help them with their stuff. So now we're going to be working on the right arm, and that's parts 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, and they're all here on sprue B. And I need to go ahead and clip this tube off first before I forget, because then I can throw the sprue away and just put this guy into my organization box. So in the comments below, tell me what got you into artifacts. What's your favorite artifact, and what's your favorite Gundam mobile suit in general? Are you interested in assemble? Any of that stuff. These mini Gundams, Gunpla, are fantastic, and I love talking to people about them. Unfortunately, we don't get a whole lot of opportunity to do that. I spend more time speaking with people over in Asia whose languages I don't know, thank goodness for Google Translate, than I do people I can actually have more detailed, nuanced conversations with. So help a guy out. Leave a comment. Let's talk. And one thing I noticed from the previous build is a little bit different. I, in the past, have had to cut as far away from the part as I could due to the way it was on the sprue. But now with these nice long gates, I'm able to cut really close to the part, which is wonderful. Saves a step, saves some time, and it makes us happy. Alright, idiot check here. Empty sprue, in the container you go. Alright, this looks like it's going to be kind of easy. So we're going to put the two arm parts together. Checking there to make sure nothing goes in between them, and nothing is going in between them. Lines up nicely with this little tab on this wrist going into the hand. So that helps out with alignment quite a bit. Nice and snug fit there. And then the shoulder parts. Gonna give this a bit of a sand here. And also in the comments, let me know if you would like to see long form videos in perhaps 10 to 12 or more hours worth of build if I do these in detail here on YouTube, or if that would be something I should just do on Twitch and then come back to YouTube with the finished result. I would like to know that as well, because I do want to make sure people watching my stuff get what they want to see, with the caveat that I don't have a whole lot of time to be editing, and I don't have the audiovisual equipment necessary to do highly edited or highly polished content, which is why I mostly do these long form videos and streams. Okay. Just give these a little bit of a sand here to make sure that they fit well and play nice with each other. And don't do what I'm doing and building these kits over a hard surface. Do it over something with some give. I would hate to hear stories of your parts hitting the table and going flying and getting lost. That's happened to me before, and it's a real bummer. Especially, the biggest bummer about it is these only come out once a year, and once you get them, they can be kind of hard to find at times. Okay, so we've got our shoulder alignment going there. Alright, so part 18, just like part 23, has a little cutout area that fits around this. I'm holding, well, this is the part that goes into the body, and that cutout just fits right around that other part. There you go. And it looks like it's a bit long. So on part 18, at least on my kit, go ahead and sand that down so you get a nice flush smooth fit. Because the arm doesn't have a clip, it's a friction fit only. So if there's not enough friction between the parts, the arm's not going to stay on. And if you were just building these as a quick kind of snap fit thing for part security, make sure that these arm sections fit snugly together. Okay, turn you around. Where do you... boy. There. That's a little better. And looking at them, the armhole has a slanted side, has a long side, a short side, and a slanted part. So that means that this part is also molded to fit that, so you get the proper alignment. And in this case, here's the back of the arm, this portion. And that is going to go I believe. Here we are. Yep. So the inner portion of the arm is facing outwards. And then we just, okay, this is my worst, the worst kind of fitting. This little tab into a slot here. They used to use that a lot, and it's not a very secure join. So you're definitely going to want to glue it, but you're going to need to make sure that all your parts are exactly how you want them at first. Otherwise, you're going to cover everything up. So this is a paint your parts here and then glue. Yeah, see, it's not. It's not a snug or secure fit at all. Even just the finger, it's sticking to my finger, is enough to pull it off. You may be able to push it in more. But no. Let's try sanding that down some more, see if that helps. Because this is one of the parts where it was connected to the sprue. So you want to make sure it's tidy and fits well. No. Nope, that's a glue. Good to know. And now we'll put the arm back in. There we go. So that's essentially done. Let's move on to both gun arms. So parts 53 and 57. They're pistons that go between 58 and 56 and 55 and 54. And those parts are on sprue D, but they're thin and fiddly. Don't be surprised if I say we need to glue them. Because some of these parts, even like you see here, even though they're well engineered snap fit pieces, they don't always fit together. And these are fresh. This is fresh plastic. It hasn't warped or expanded or contracted much. So 52, 56, 57, 58. 52, 56, 57, 58. Okay, on part 56, these rear sections cut closer to the sprue because this is a weak gate, and the pressure from my nipper cutting here put stress on this joint and strained it a bit. So you want to avoid that because you could potentially damage your part. And we've got order of operations here. So we need to make sure to look at that and follow it. Oh, this makes me nervous. Anytime I have these tiny parts, because they can roll around so easily and just get lost. Okay. So what do we have? We need to first snap the gun together. All right. So far, so good. We're going to need to shave down a couple of those pegs. And then two, going to take part 58 and put that in here. Okay, cool. And then let's look at our part. Okay, so part 57. One of the tabs is longer and bigger than the other. So make sure you look at your pieces. And they've even gone so far as to cut out one of the corners here on part 58. So that means that one of these has, gosh, if you can even see it. I can't see it. But we're going to carefully sand these down smooth. Since that's where they were connected to the sprue. All right, and this isn't going to show up on the camera, but the little tabs are both going towards me, which means the bigger one goes into the tab on part 58, and that's what they say to do first. So good. And then you carefully insert that tab into the other part, and being careful to not push so hard that you pop part 58 out of there. Well, that was probably the most pleasant assembly of this kind in any of them so far. Yeah, see, there are your details on your instructions. So let's repeat the process with the other one. And this time, I'll even doing that. Okay, so flat edge nippers are clearly superior in some cases. Well, in every case, but in the case of this part, is the best. Just smooth that down a little bit. Okay, so on this part 51 and 52, the sprue connection is back here. And that fits up next to this portion of the other part and will need to be smoothed out for a snug fit, for proper fit. It's never a bad thing to sand and prepare all your pieces as you take them out of the sprue. That's how I usually prefer to do it, but it's kind of antithetical to making quicker video content, which is why I'm kind of rushing this. And is why I asked if people want to see detailed build guides. Where's my knife? There it is. It's not going to lie, if you get the 10 pack, 10 of these models, if you take your time and really get into the details of them, it could take you all year. You could easily spend a month just getting all of the details on these just right. That's really affordable. I mean, $70 for 10 models that will last you all year. Quite the value for time. Or if you happen to be in a country that doesn't get these right away, like me, like I am, in a country that doesn't get them right away, you may end up not being able to get them all done to a high standard before the next series comes out. Alright, so let's look at the instructions again. We've spent one. Step 2 is clipping this into here, and there are little bumps to fit into these. So that's a friction fit that will last you maybe two times. So be prepared to finalize the assembly of this on your second go round. Okay, now the big end goes up and into that slot. See, that just fell out. And that's one of the rare hazards of these guys. So I'm going to put this way over my desk because I have a feeling. Okay, well, that's not super secure. But it's enough to get the part assembled. And that's what we want. There we go. That step is done. Let's go ahead and build the body. So this is part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to leave the head on the sprue. So all those parts are on sprue A. And we will start with parts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9. And if you are watching this and you build artifacts, do you paint them? Do you not paint them? 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9. Are they just little collectibles? Something you can spend a few bucks on, get a couple hours of entertainment, and then put it up on a shelf? Or do you go hard into it and do the display quality work? And 9 is a small part, so be careful with that. So why am I leaving the head on the sprue? Because it has an antenna. That is a very, very, very easily broken part, and I don't want to break it yet. Okay, so looking at our orders of operation, first thing we do is put part 9 into the body. So that means we need to make sure we have our pieces in the proper orientation. Okay, so this is part 3, and that means that with this tab on the top of part 9 going upward, we put that into the body there. And there is a slot for the tab to go into, which is great. One of the other kits had this type of part for the legs, and it didn't have that tab, and it was harder to figure out. I actually screwed up building it. Okay. And had to go back and fix things. Okay. That is a snug fit, which is nice. This looks like the front of the Zaku 2. That's very similar in many ways. I mean, it's a Zaku, right? Kind of cool. So that's put together. Now part 4 is the third, and that's this one. And that goes in like how? Okay. Okay, I think I see how it goes. Maybe. There's a bit of extra plastic on this piece, this little connection part here, that needs to be cleaned up. And there are two little tabs on the inside of each of these arms that look like they snap into something. But it's not really telling me exactly how it goes. I'm going to assume these two little tabs, one on either side up here, are where this connects to, because they've got open ends for this to slide into, but they're so dang small that getting it aligned just right is not easy. Okay, that's not working. So let's look at the back here. These are the clips for the gun arms? No, that's these. So yeah, these are the clips for that. And as much as it's as scary as it is, you got to push a bit. And that's what keeps it lined up. Okay, so looking at the parts here, if I can bring it a little bit closer, kind of see that there are little round clips on the inside of this that part pushes into. And they're not going to come out very easily, and I'm willing to bet that you might get one more removal and clip you back in before the parts are worn down enough that you're going to have to glue them. So again, on this superstructure, I wouldn't it wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and prepare this fully and glue it just right off the bat without any dry fitting there. That might be the best way for you. Unfortunately, if you want to get really, really fancy, don't even put this part on yet. Wait until you've primed and painted everything, because there's this piston in here and the underside of this and the outside of that you'll need to be able to access to paint. So this is a parts separation issue. Keep part 4, the rear skirt, off the model until you're ready to put it in place once and display the model. Okay. And then part 5. This has a nice long tab. There's a nice slot here. That hopefully will work pretty well. Again, that tab and slot thing is not my favorite with these artifacts, but it seems to me they've done a better job this time around. Okay, that's snug, which is good. We like snug. But here's another part separation. This internal structure is going to need to be gap filled, painted, sanded, all of that before putting this on, so you can get into all of those areas. At the very least, prime them separately. And then you can paint this part and all of this in here, and paint this part after. So once everything else is done and is nice and clean and neat, then go back, paint these. I don't know. Depending on your taste. These two might be parts to keep off. Okay. Now we've got parts 10, 11, 12, and 6. Say, good job, buddy. My old kitty cat Kazakh just got up on the bed by himself. Normally he comes to bother me for that. 11 and 12. Okay, so 11 and 12 have these little piston connection parts too. Clip them first, since they're delicate. So any stress you get from snipping this sprue, this gate, won't potentially damage those guys. Okay. If you made it this far, we are 39 minutes in. Please make sure you've hit that like and subscribe button and notifications. The notification part is important to let you know what I have put up and when. Cases like this, where I have guides to make, I will often upload frequently until they're done. I want to get these guides out as, while the product is fresh in people's hands and they can make use of it. but other content, that's not as frequent. But if you don't want to see something I make, don't watch it. You can always do it on your phone, let it play in the background where you don't have and not have sound. Get me those watch hours. Okay. And I'll be honest with you, that's what my wife does. She's not really into the modeling, but she likes to support. So she'll watch for a little bit and then go do something else and let the video run. No, I don't think she does that. I can tell by the analytics. 2 people watching for 15 minutes. Ah, ah, ah. That's okay. Phew. Ah. That is why we have clean floors, folks. I'm surprised that's the first time that's happened. Alright. Now, so these pistons go outward. And there's the head hole. That sounded really naughty. Okay. Let's look at this real quick. If you're going outward, okay. I see. So you need to put 10 and 6 together first, but don't push all the way quite yet. Okay. And this flat portion goes on top. And these 2 little tabs here slot right in there. And then these guys, this is one of those. Gross. Okay. So the only thing holding these shoulder connections in is the tension between the front and the back of the chest. There's not even a tab to put in. Can we do this without gluing? And this makes it very difficult to assemble. Don't be afraid to take time and inspect your parts. Figure out how they're going to fit together. And you can look at future steps too. Do you actually fit in? Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. This is where another cutout would have been good. These tabs here on the side of this chest piece actually fit into there. Ha! Oh, boy. Look at me. Somebody was probably screaming watching the video. In the comments, there's going to be, you dumbhead. You could have just shoved them together. Well, yes, could have. But let me give you an example. One of many examples where that wasn't the case. There was a tab on the front of these little shoulder guys that fit in here, and a tab on the back that fit into the back. And you had to attach the front and the back to hold the shoulder joints in. So up until that's a new build mechanism, which thank God they did. That's much, much, much better. Much better. Okay. And then we have this, there's a tab here. That fits into this lower tab slot there. Yes, yes, yes. Don't put don't put this part on. Save these parts until later. They're a brake hazard as well. And you're going to need to make sure that all of these parts fit snugly, because the piston has a connection point down towards the bottom here. So if they're not aligned just right, they're not going to stick together. I don't know, it's too small to show. But there's that done. Now let's build the big cannon. Parts 14, 50, 44, and 47. 44, 47, 50, and 15 is probably over there. Small, small, small part. Be very careful. Okay, now because we have another part, I want to make sure there's nothing on here. Okay, empty sprue, away we go. And let's go back and look at part 1. Why did I not put part 1 on? Because those are traditionally a giant pain. And I want to make sure I've got everything else taken care of first. If I need to make any changes to this, before going forward, maybe making the picture thumbnail for this. I'll probably leave it as is, but that's a really fiddly, easily broken part, so I'm going to leave that to the end. Part 50 goes... Okay, so the thick tab is going to go away from this part. There are two little pegs that fit right in here, it looks like. So that's the other side of the mount for the weapon. And then, oh, that just goes, okay. Need to clean it up, because this edge goes up against that gun, but there's a sprue mark here. And that may... Nope, it's not gonna. Okay. So you don't need to go as fast as I'm going on this. I'm only doing this fast because people don't like to watch 4-hour-long videos. Alright, so the gun is done. Now, part 14, the ammo case. You go forward, and there's a tab here that fits into there. So just like that. Alright. And then the two hip armor. And they may have made an improvement, which was critically necessary. Okay, but the legs have to go on first. So on the legs go. And each of these has a slight little tab slot at the bottom. And the leg join has a little tab. So you push them in just a little bit and then look. To make sure that they fit, because that will keep them aligned. And again, brake hazard. I'm just going to take that off. Did they do this in such a way? So it's got extra pressure. I don't like forcing these things, because things like that happen. That's what I mean by brake hazard. Same thing with the foot. It's going to be Brake hazard during assembly. So what's going on here? So the slot in this leg is circular. This tab is oblong. It's not circular on either side, which is what's causing issues getting the leg to stay. I wonder if they're expecting people to glue these now. That's just not cool. What's going on? And I'm so afraid I'm going to break this foot. Especially this one that already broke. Oh, and it bent. It bent that part. What a shame. Do you need to come in from more of an angle? What's your problem? Let's look at the box here. That's the right leg. Not the correct leg, it's the right leg versus rather than left. Is it the proper alignment? Don't tell me I put part 9 in backwards. That's what I did. Put part 9 in backwards. This is why we dry fit and why I do build guides. So people will see this and won't do the same thing. Because I had it covered. They even said it right here. Look at them. That was totally on me. So they have both an upward and backward alignment to them. So they need to be going up and with slightly to the rear. Okay, now let's put our legs on first. Can we do that? See, that fits much better. That's why we don't force things. That's why we don't force things. Okay, and now we can put this part on, but I'm gonna sand it down real quick. As I said in the first video, if you are having to force it, you're putting it in wrong. Something is wrong. The design of these, the engineering of these is so high quality that you don't have to force it. Just slight pressure in cases where there's a friction fit or a compression fit. That's all. So maybe this is why most people don't show videos of their builds on these like this, or if they do, it's highly edited. So many mistakes, they don't want to show mistakes. All right, we're going to do this again. So this is part 4, the rear skirt. And that means I can show you here. These little guys right there have an opening for the part to snap into. That's a compression fit. And see why I'm saying now that it's best to just go ahead and not put those parts on until you've got this painted. All these little details in here that you need to get access to. Definitely don't do what I'm doing unless you intend to not paint. Yeah, that's already looser. Okay. All right. And then you. See what I mean, folks? You try and put one piece on, and it pushes the other off. This is why I glue all these. It's just easier, less frustrating. And you push them both. Okay. Now we have to put our hip armor on. There's a tab at the bottom of these parts that goes into here. Which is better than previous models. And now you're not going to stay. Okay. And then your gun has a tab here and a tab here. This is a D-shaped tab with the flat end going forward. So there's the example of what I meant by them. Oh Lord. Okay. Of a better design. I say that as this entire thing starts falling apart. Welcome to Gundam Hand Grenade. We may have to call this build quits so I can glue. You saw how this all went. And it's pretty clear to me that this is a kit that needs to be glued. So when you're doing your builds, take your time, clean all your parts, make sure everything is good, and glue them together. One part at a time, and give them lots of time to dry. And then do your assembly. Because you don't want this little piece flying off over your shoulder and getting lost. Because if it's lost, it's lost. Thankfully, this one you don't exactly need. Because you can put the gun against the body, and where this slots into the hip armor, it'll hold, these two pieces will hold it. But you'll lose the really cool look of that piston there. So folks, this is going to be the end of this build. I apologize. I'm not going to risk parts or screaming and cursing on camera for this. But thank you very much for watching, and I will I won't put this video up until I've got this entirely built and can make a thumbnail with the whole built thing. But essentially, that is everything. Rather than aside from the final assembly of these pieces here, we've got all of our individual parts made, which in the grand scheme of things is what's truly important about these build guides. So thank you very much for watching. I have been Phil, the Miniature Model Maker, going through the Zaku Cannon build, Gundam Artifact Phase 5 Model 23. And remember that this is a hobby. If it doesn't bring joy, stop doing it. Be good to yourselves, everybody. Bye-bye.